Hi, I think I am live. I know there's a slight delay with broadcasting, but if you are here, please say hello. I would love to hear from you in the chat. And in the meantime, I have gotten some questions, so I'm going to just start answering the questions that I've gotten so that if you come watch this later and get your question answered. But in the meantime, if you're just arriving, if you arrive at any time and I'm talking, just leave a question in the chat and I will as soon as I can. There is a slight second delay, and so I may not, but as soon as I see it, I will answer it. So, okay, a couple of questions that I have gotten about the course that I just wanted to go ahead and start by answering. The first is like why this, if someone has taken other writing courses before and hasn't been able to finish their novel in those, why is this one going to be different? Which is a great question. Thank you for asking that. And it's because I designed it to be different. So it's different than all of the other writing classes that I had taken preparing or in trying to write a novel. First, our notebooks method, which if you watch the masterclass, I touch on a little bit, but I don't actually teach you the method masterclass, which is used for notebooks to structure your story and the pacing of your story by actually giving each notebook a very specific purpose that I teach you. So the notebooks method is huge. Two is writing your book. So there's not extra homework on top of writing your book. It just if anything, it's lightening your load because I tell you the things that you don't need to do and the things that you should focus on so that you have a very clear path forward. Three, the goal is to finish your book. So people actually do, which is I guess the coolest part. In some ways, like people who take the course actually finish their books, and that is great. Like I think that's really different. It's different than the novel writing courses I used to take, where none of us finished our books. Like that wasn't even the goal of it. It was like those courses would be like, well, we'll get you started, or and there's room for that for sure. But the goal of this one is for you to finish your draft. A couple other things. One, number four is that it's about craft and process. So we do have craft lessons. We talk about how to develop your characters, how to write effective metaphors, how to deal with the passage of time in your story, how to make sure your story has momentum. All of those craft things come up for sure. But there's even more content around process, like how to actually get it done, what to do when you sit down to write, what to do when you feel resistance to continuing your draft, what to do when you're stuck, what to do when you're in the middle and you're not sure how to end it. Like those kinds of questions are really the bulk of what we do. Last couple things, it's both self-paced and live. So the actual video content you'll watch on your own time. We also have a live meeting every week, a group coaching call that you are hopefully can attend live. It's on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. If you can't, no worries. There is always a recording and you're always invited to ask questions. I still answer your questions on the call, even if you can't make it live. And then the final thing that's different about it now is that you get both courses. So this weekend only, you're going to get the 12-week book draft, which is the course about writing your book. And then you'll also get Revise Your Book the Right Way, which is my revision course that does all the same stuff as the 12-week book draft, like walks you through step by step exactly what to do, but when you get to the revision stage. So that's awesome. If I do say so myself, it's great to have both because it means it's there for you when you're ready for it. There's nothing else. There's no other course you need to buy to get it done, to write your draft, but also revise and polish your draft so that it's ready to send out to literary agents if you want to go the traditional publishing route. The revision is, sorry, it's almost nap time, so my son is having a conniption fit out there. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but you probably can. So revision is essential. I would never send a draft off to literary agents without having revised. And I get so many, the cool thing is that the 12-week book draft has been so successful for so many people over the last couple of years that I've been teaching it, that people have finished their drafts and are finishing their drafts, and then it's time to revise. So they have a bunch of revision questions, and I just wanted to be able to very easily support them and say, here's where you go to learn how to revise. It's right here. It's already part of the whole system that you're in. It's already a part of what you have. And so, stay in our community and finish and revise your book now with our support. So that's why I decided to include it. It really excites me to be able to include it. And so, yeah, if you're just joining, I am answering questions. Any questions you have about my course or the sale this weekend, which is the 12-week book draft and Revise Your Book the Right Way, both together for the sale price of the 12-week book draft. So if you have any questions about either course or the sale, just put them in the chat, and there's a slight delay of a few seconds, but I'll answer them as soon as I can. And in the meantime, just answering some other questions that have come up. What if I already have a draft in progress? Or the opposite, what if I'm not sure my idea is even good enough yet? Okay. People come in from both places. So if you're not sure that your idea is solid yet, no worries. You don't even have to have an idea yet. The first lesson walks you through figuring out what the idea is and evaluating your idea to see if it's big enough to carry an entire book, an entire novel or memoir. If you're coming in with a draft or with part of a draft, also great. Honestly, a lot of people rework through the 12-week book draft material in rewriting their draft. Now, if you want to go straight to the revision material, you also are going to have that option because that's there for you too. So no matter where you're coming in, there is something for you. And I'm also available to you. I mean, listen, I'm like very active in our like, we have, our online community, our forum where we're always chatting. I'm very active in that group. We have our live weekly coaching calls as a group, where I just answer any questions you have, like pretty in depth, and others chime in too. Everybody's really supportive. So you're not going to be lost. This is not one of those, I've taken online courses sometimes where you enroll, and then because they're self-paced, it can feel a little bit isolating, and also like you don't really know where to start or what to do. You'll never feel that here, because as soon as if you don't know what comes next or what to do next, you just ask, and 10 people are going to tell you what you should do, including me. So there's it's very supportive, and it's very mutually engaging, like everybody's on the same journey of finishing our drafts. And so it doesn't feel alone. Even if you're at a different place in the course than someone else's, you're not going to feel isolated. I promise you're not going to feel isolated. Other questions that have come up. Let me look at my list of questions people have emailed me. And if you're just arriving, please, any questions you have, just put them in the chat. I would be happy to answer them. I'm not seeing any right now. So if you've sent in a question, I don't see it. You can just put it in the chat and I would be happy to answer it. Another comment is, will the course help me organize my material? So this person said that she has a whole lot of notes, random notes and things scattered, and a lot of ideas, but she can't figure out how to bring them all together into a cohesive story. Cool. That's a great place to be in, because it means you have a bunch of material to draw from. And it's really just about finding what that kernel is, like what the inspiration is at its core. And then moving from there. This is the kind of thing that would be a great question to ask during I call them word shops, like workshops, but word shops, haha. Our weekly group coaching calls, because those are where we really get into helping individual people troubleshoot the issues that they're having on their draft. So yes, it definitely helps you stay organized. We have a whole system of, you're going to write your novel in these notebooks, and then you're also going to have this notebook as your workspace where you keep ideas and that sort of thing. But if you're already coming in with a bunch of stuff, you have this extra task of organizing what you already have. And so absolutely, that's something that we can help you do as well. Okay, let's see. Other questions that I have gotten. What if I don't want to write my book in 12 weeks? Um, yeah, a lot. That's a good question. Thank you. A lot of people don't. A lot of people come in and are like, there's no way I'm going to be able to write a book draft in 12 weeks. And that's why the material doesn't expire in 12 weeks. So you will have it for 6 months. And then if you need it for longer than that, you have the option to extend it from there. So you have, and then all of that's just the video material. The lectures, the text-based lectures and PDFs, for which there is one of those for every lesson. So everything that's provided on video, there's also a text version. All of that is downloadable. So it's yours for life. So even if it takes you 5 years to write your novel, you'll continue to have that support. Okay, another question. Let's see. What if I haven't written in 20 years? Okay. Yay, welcome. If you have not written in 20 years, I am glad that you have found us, and it's time. Your creativity is clearly ready for its moment. It's ready to come back and be alive again. So I hope you do it with us. You will be in good company. We have in the community, we have people who are, what's the word for it? Very regular writers. I mean, people who, have written 4 books and write every day, like people who have MFAs in creative writing, like people who have identified as writers, as serious writers for a while. For sure, we have that group. But we also have people who haven't written creatively in ages, have careers completely unrelated to writing. We have teachers, we have a doctor, we have a lawyer, a couple of lawyers. We have people who maybe haven't written a creative word since high school. So you won't be alone. It's okay. It's really supportive. It's not an intimidating group at all. We really try to make it as supportive as possible, and that's because of, I think I really set the tone, and I try to set the tone of being one that's not pretentious or precious. I think that's really important. I took writing classes back when I was just first starting to try to write a novel. I took classes that, while very well intentioned, and I don't fault the teachers for this at all, because they were just doing what they knew best and what they thought would work. But I would leave feeling discouraged and doubtful of myself. And so when I created this, when I decided to start teaching writing at all, that was one thing that I never wanted to do. I never wanted to create a place where people felt stifled or more unsure of themselves than when they came in. So the goal is really for you to is to feel the opposite, and it's not a kind of like coddling. Oh, we're just going to think positively and encourage each other, and not at all be critical or concrete. Dana, hi Dana, great. I see your question. I'm excited. I'll get to it in just a second. So it's not a kind of coddling thing where it's like we're not going to help each other get better. The goal is always to be getting better. It's just getting better, but with the mindset of we all can do it. We're all capable of doing it. It's why we're here. Like, we know that, and we're going to accept that as given. So then it's just a matter of figuring out how to get it done and how to get it done well. So Dana's question is, would script fit into this book formula? Not perfectly, but not terribly. I think the script writing would actually fit pretty well into like 80 to 90% of it. because it's all storytelling and it's shaping the story around the kind of like the tried and true principles of the three act structure. At least that's what I teach. And people in the course can feel free to take that or leave that if you don't want to write a traditionally structured story. But the shape that I teach through the four notebooks is the three act structure, which is, what most films use. So that said, it's not going to be, in terms of length, there would be some tweaking to do if you were using this to write a screenplay. So, or a play. So length would be, we just have to do the math to adjust that, because in the course, I get really granular. I get very specific around word count. And, at this word count, here's kind of where you want to be in your story. At this word count, here's kind of where you want to be in your story. And so we would just want to adjust that for script writing. But as long as you're comfortable with that, being a little bit flexible, I think it could be a good fit. But that also makes me think, one thing the course is not comfortable or is not suited for would be short stories. I think you'll find a better fit elsewhere. This is really like long form things. So while it could be totally suited for a full length screenplay or play, I think for a short story, you probably want to take a different course. Same thing for if you're writing something that's not a long form narrative, like yeah, you're welcome, Dana. Thanks for the question. If you're just arriving, feel free to just put a question in the chat. I'm just answering questions as they come up. So it's really an informal here. So I'm talking about what the course is not good for. So you wouldn't want to take it if you're writing like a how-to book or a business book or a collection of essays, something that doesn't have a narrative form, a long form narrative form. That's really what it's suited for. So there are people who are writing for kids, middle grade, young adult. We have people writing in all genres, like untraditional storytelling formats, thriller, romance, literary fiction. We really have it spans the gamut of like kinds of narrative stories people are telling, but they're all narrative, and that's what they have in common. Okay, other questions. Feel free to just drop a question in the chat or say hello. And I am going to pull up other questions that have been sent in. Okay, so I think I answered the main questions that people had sent in. So I'm just going to spend the next couple of minutes telling you about favorite features of the course, including one that I recently just added and that thrills me to no end. And I'm even going to see if I can share screen and show you, because it's really exciting. So I think, if you've read about the course at all, you have probably seen where we have these weekly word shops, which are our weekly group coaching calls, where you can send in up to 3 questions a week, and I'll answer them live with the group. Let me pause on what I was just saying for a moment, because I did get a good question here in the chat. What are the strengths of your course, or put another way, what do you and your approach offer that others maybe don't? Okay, so thank you. I'm going to try to answer this quickly, because I had a similar question a little while ago. So I'll send you the replay so you can watch that part again. But basically, the goal is for you to, I would say the biggest one is the goal is for you to finish. And so people actually do finish. Like, we support each other until it's done. You're going to get your draft done if you join the course, which is very exciting to be able to say. And I can say it because it happens for people. To the 4 notebooks method. I was going to say I don't know anyone who teaches it, but that's because I made it up. So of course there isn't anyone who teaches it but me. The 4 notebooks method is a way of finishing your book that is completely unique to this course, because I invented it. So it's using 4 notebooks to structure your story. If you watch the masterclass, I touch on it, but I don't actually teach you the method. The method, it involves each notebook having a very specific purpose, and you only learn that in the course. And then also just this kind of combination of craft and process. So a lot of novel writing courses teach craft, but they don't teach process. And this one is pretty evenly split, if not more weighted, more heavily weighted toward the process side of things. So how to sit down and actually do it, how to set a goal date for finishing, how many words you need to write every day to reach your goal date, how to organize your materials, what to do when you get stuck, what to do when you're in the middle and you don't know what happens next. Like all of those process points are things that we talk about in the course. So thank you for that question. Keep asking questions. If you have them, I will answer them as soon as I see them. All right, so what I wanted to show you is I found this amazing software that allows you to, I'm gonna share my screen, that allows people, let's see, that allows people to search all of our recordings of our live weekly meetings. So hopefully you all are seeing it now. So this is what it looks like inside our platform. So we have these word shops and you can search by any term. Like let's say, and you know, we've been doing this for a while. So we have a lot of content here, which is why I created this or integrated the search platform so that it can actually be more useful because there was like an overwhelming amount of content. So say I want to see, you know, when did she talk about literary agents? Oh, so we have 26 results of where we talked about literary agents, and you can start to read, okay, what were we covering here on this day? And then if you want to see if this looks like a conversation you want to actually watch, you don't even have to look anything up. You just click that button and you start watching that portion. And then, so it's an incredible tool. I love this. And you also have the option of just going to any given meeting in the past, whether it's one that, you know, during which I'll stop sharing now, whether it's one during which you were a member or one before you joined our community. You can watch the whole thing and also like look at the questions that were covered. So you can go in that way too. But I love this search function because, you know, sometimes it's like, I wonder if they've ever talked about metaphors. You just search metaphors and then find the lesson that I teach on metaphors. I just want to be clear, that's for our live weekly group coaching calls. That's separate from the course material, which is very clearly laid out, like what you need to do when. Okay, question, how many people are typically in one of your courses at a time? And thank you, found you via Tracy. I love Tracy, thank you. So what is your name, by the way? How many people are in it at a time? So at a time, 10 to 15, but what a lot of people do is extend when their course is up. So if you'll have the option when you're done, if you want to extend because you want to stay in the community and keep coming to our meetings, you can. So a lot of people do that. So then we end up with like 20 people, about 20 people at a time. And then when people are really, you know, they're done with the draft, they're kind of going through a phase in their life where they're not actively working on a book, then they step away. But I find that a lot of people do like to keep going at least for a little bit after the 12 weeks are over. Yeah, great question. If we keep it very small, the community, great. Hi, Mindy. The Facebook community also includes alumni. So as you go through the course, you'll stay in the Facebook community, which is great because we continue to share stuff there and you get a lot of support there. And also sometimes I'll do one-off workshops that I feel inspired to do, and always invite everybody both in the course and alumni in our group just to come to those. So for example, George Saunders, he has a new book out called A Swim in the Pond in the Rain, which is on writing, a craft book on writing that just came out a couple of weeks ago. And it's so great. And I love him so much. And so today I'm doing, in just 30 minutes, actually doing a little workshop on that book for everybody, for people who are in the course and people who've taken the course. So they were all invited, and you know, there's no charge for that. It's just included as once you're in the community, you're just kind of invited to these sorts of things. So the alumni community is bigger. We have about 60 people in that, and it's always growing. But it feels our weekly meetings feel pretty small. We usually have anywhere from I would say 7 to 14 people who come live, and it's a really nice size group. And I love that it's, you know, that it's that size. I think if if this were to just, if the course were suddenly to get really big, what I would probably do is just divide it into sections so that we could still have more intimate gatherings each week, because people get to know each other that way and we get to know each other's projects. So that feels really good. Okay, so I told you about workshops and the searchability feature, which is new, which I really, really am excited about. And hi, I'm seeing a hello in the chat. Hi, Avid Reader Universe. I love your username. Please, if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah, I think the strong community is a lot of times for a lot of people, the best part. We do a lot of sharing in the group around. So one thing I really like to do is honor our inner child who really just wants ice cream. So when you start your project, you pick a goal date, to the date on which you're going to finish your draft, but also a goal reward. So the goal reward is a reward, something you get when you finish. And it can be something small like ice cream, or it can be something big like a Tesla. Cynthia in our group the other day said hers was going to be a Tesla, and we weren't sure if she's kidding. And I'm pretty sure she wasn't kidding, which I respect a lot. I mean, listen, if most of us, I think, could afford a Tesla as our goal reward, we would go for it. But we share goal rewards, we share pictures of our workspace, pictures of our goal rewards, and it really helps you, it helps it be more fun. And so much of this is just making sure that it's fun. Otherwise, we don't want to keep doing it. Yeah, what would you like to know? I see, can you tell me more about your workshop? What would you like to know about it? Is there anything specific you would like to know? The way it works is that there are lessons that are self-paced around, they walk you through finishing your novel. So the first one is on starting it, and the last one is on what to do when you're done. And in between those lessons, we have live group weekly coaching calls where we meet together and troubleshoot what people are dealing with. So on those coaching calls, we could cover anything from what did we do this week? Someone asked, I really need to know the difference between passive and active voice, and when I would want to use one and when I would want to use the other. So we just did a whole little workshop on like, when might you want, first of all, a quick review. What is passive voice versus active voice? Just the basic lesson. Then when would you want to use passive voice? Because a lot of times we learn passive voice is bad, but it's actually not bad. It's just there are reasons you would want to use it and reasons you don't want to use it. So we did a little exercise where we talked about reasons we would want to use it. Another question came up about how to add tension to a particular scene. So we workshopped that for her. A question came in about someone's opening, like she wasn't quite sure which opening was stronger, and so we workshopped that for her. We talked about different kinds of third person, omniscient third person versus limited third person, and did a little workshop where we practiced segueing from close third to omniscient third and back. We talk about, what are some other things? Giving our characters joy, how to write joy into your story. We've talked about whether COVID is a good framing device for a story right now, or whether that will make it harder or easier to sell. Now that a lot of people are finishing their drafts, there are often questions around how to get published. What do you do to get published? So we cover all of that stuff for anyone who's interested. You can always catch the replay. I post it right after we meet. If you're not able to come live, we meet on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern for an hour, and I'll post the replay right after. That's just the group coaching live part. That part is supplemental, and it's really important. I think it's a critical supplemental piece, but the heart of the course are the lessons that you do on your own time and that you start as soon as you enroll. So as soon as you enroll, I'll send you your first lesson and you will, get started right away. Hopefully that answers some things. Any other questions? I'm gonna have to go in a minute or two because I'm getting texts that I need to go sit with my toddler. He is out of school right now because he had a runny nose, which means um, they're just being a little strict because of COVID naturally. And so he was out of school today. So this morning we made a giant airplane out of a cardboard box and ran it around the house a million times. And now it's nap time. So we're passing the kid back and forth. Um, any any more questions? Happy to answer them. And you can always, if you great. I'm so glad it was useful. And, always just reply to my emails that you get from me. If you have a question, I will answer you. I'm happy to write back. I get all my email replies. There's no one checking that for me. That's just me. So, so hit reply and ask if you have any questions, and I would be happy to answer your questions. This sale, where you get both courses, the 12-week book draft and revise your book the right way, is just this weekend. It ends Sunday morning, and then the price is going to go up forever. So this is really it. This is if you want to get it at this price, now is the time to do it. I hope you join us. I love this community and working with writers in it, and assure you that you will too, because it's a really great group. So thanks for coming by and asking your questions. And again, just hit reply if you have any more, and I'll be happy to answer them over email. Thanks for being here. Bye.